I'd like to talk about you're not alone and what I mean by that. But before we talk about that, I'd like to introduce myself. It's Ghazala's Heart and Soul Cafe. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're here for the first time, you're more than welcome. So pull up a chair, let's have a chat. You're not alone. So many people talk to me about their mental health struggles, and so many people, and that's when I'm doing the mental health training, and so many people talk to me, so many clients, when I'm counselling and supporting women who have experienced child loss, and they share and they say, I feel so alone. And so I wanted to make a video about it. And I myself, who am grieving, sadly lost my son just over 4 years ago. He had a sudden cardiac arrest. He was 22 years of age. And that feeling of feeling alone is mammoth. And let me talk about it. So in my own case, it was very much that even if I was in a room full of people, so this was shortly after I lost my son, when there was lots and lots of people coming to visit and pay their respects. So I wasn't alone, but yet I sometimes felt very much alone. And why was that? Why was that happening? Well, the reason for it was I felt that, initially it was very much that I was in such shock that I probably couldn't think of anything. So I was very much isolated in my own little cocoon. I talk in a video about feeling as if I fell into a deep, dark black hole. And I was there for 6 to 8 months. So very much alone there. When my clients talk about feeling alone, they do mention that they might be in a room full of people, but they still feel alone. The reason for this is because we don't have somebody that we feel we can relate to. And that is really the bottom line. It's not so much that we are alone or we're not alone physically. There is people around us, most of us. Not everyone, but most of us, most of the time. And so when I talk about feeling, that feeling of feeling alone, it's more about not having a sense of feeling understood, feeling heard, feeling that your feelings are validated by somebody else that you are sharing with. And if you feel that way, that you can't share, or when you do share, other people don't understand, or they are not actually listening, they are interrupting, they are competing with. So things such as, I know what you're experiencing, I know what you're going through because I had this loss. The amount of people that have said to me, if I have talked about losing my son, and I am talking about the feeling, the extent of the grief that I'm going through, another person may say, oh, I know exactly what you're experiencing because my mother passed away, 2 years ago, and, her mother was 83. And I think, well, although I don't want to compare one loss to another loss, I feel that there is no comparison between losing a parent who was 83 and losing a child who was 22. And, comment if you disagree with me. I'd like to hear what you think. But if somebody is sharing that they lost a child, either that child was ill or that child very sadly went through an accident, and, I have clients sharing that with me, that we shouldn't compare one loss to another, but at the same time, we can't say that I know what you're going through because I've experienced this, and then use something like that as an example, because we know that it's the natural course of life, isn't it? That we are going to, most of us go through, well, a lot of us go through old age, and then we know that our life is going to come to an end at some point. And losing a parent at the age of 83, there's nothing, I'd say, extremely extraordinary about that, is there? Sad as it is sad. The loss of any life is sad. But at the same time, we do have some time to think that it's inevitable that our parent is getting older and older and older. And at the age of 83, there is a possibility that, their days are maybe numbered. Would I be right in saying that, or is that unfair? I'd like to, please comment if you disagree. So I feel that we can sometimes feel alone in our grief because we are around people that either want to fix things for us or they want to compete with us and say, I know what you're experiencing because I have experienced X, Y, Z. Or they just have a belief that, you should have really got over it by now. You should have moved on by now, surely. That's just, it's part of life, isn't it? Loss. So, you just get on, just get on with it, is their kind of thinking or their mindset or their belief. Yeah. So if we are around people like that, then we are going to feel alone. So what I do say to my clients is that it's you would probably find it quite useful if you either joined some kind of support group, bereavement group, and you might think, I'll be just a load of people talking about this. Yeah, it might be, but it might not be something that you necessarily go to for the rest of your life. It might be something that you just need momentarily. It might be something that you just need to go to for a few weeks or a couple of months, perhaps, just to find people that you can relate to, just so that you can say that this is what I'm experiencing. This is what, it might be something like, let's think of an example. After losing my son, every young man of a certain height, because my son was 6'2", so a man of a certain height with a beard, tall, dark, handsome, I would look for my son's face in his. It was just a natural instinct, and I still do it. If I see a group of young men standing, talking, and they're of similar sort of height and build as my son, and I'll look, and I'm sort of almost gazing and looking for my son's face. Now, me saying that makes sense to me, and it would make sense to someone else who has had a similar kind of loss, because when I have mentioned that, or clients have mentioned that to me, I've gone, yeah, I get you and I understand. But for me to say that to someone else who hasn't experienced loss, they might think, okay, I'm hearing you, but I haven't experienced that. I don't really understand fully. And although you can't experience someone else's loss to the extent where it is your loss, because you can't do that, we can still relate to others because we've had similar kind of experiences, or we are having similar kind of experiences because of our loss. And that's why it's quite important to find your people, even if it's for a short space of time, to help you get to a place where you can feel a little bit more like yourself, or feel like the new version of yourself. And I've talked about this in previous videos, that I'm not quite the same person as I was, before losing my son. The Ghazala that I feel I was before losing my son was left at the park, and that's where I sadly lost my son. And this is a different version. sort of after rediscovering who I am on the basis of what is important to me now, because it's shifted. What was important to me before losing my son, not all of those things are important to me now. It doesn't feel important. Things have changed. I've changed. My outlook on life has changed. How I see the world and how I see others has changed, and how they see me is probably different too. They probably see a different version of me. So finding yourself is quite important, because it will make you feel less alone, because you found that you can show up, let's say, around people that you can relate to and they can relate to you as yourself. But to show up in a room full of people that you can't relate with means that you have to wear a mask and you have to put on a front, and that is difficult, and that is hard work, and that is lonely, because you're not being yourself. So you are not alone. And when it comes to this YouTube channel, the main reason for this is all about building a community where we can have like-minded people, people that we can relate to, and people that you can relate to them, they can relate to you, and we feel less alone as a result of that, and we've got each other's back, and we can share when we're struggling, and someone can sort of say, maybe you could try this, or let's have a chat, let's talk. So finding your people, and finding people that you can relate with will make you feel less alone. And the message of this video is, you're not alone. Okay. So if you like the content of this video, please do share it, please do like, please subscribe, please comment, and thank you to those of you who have subscribed. It means so much to me. It's very small numbers, but I think I'll probably be saying that for quite some time. It's very small numbers. But yes, nevertheless, it means that there are some people engaging and listening and are a part of this already. So thank you so much to you. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you for watching this one. Until then, look after your hearts and souls. Thank you.